The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello there, and welcome back to Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things from the galaxy far, far away. I am your host, Jarod the Dark Jedi Bachman Stubbs, and joining me on what will be a two-man team week, you Nazi piece of shit microphone. It's not the microphone, it's the pop filter. This pop filter's of the Third Reich. I am joined by the lore keeper, Connor Chiquiti.
Hello there, everyone. Great to be here. Can't wait to talk about Bad Batch.
Yes, we are going to catch up on the Bad Batch coverage that we missed last week when we took a little weekend off. Speaking of my weekend off, a little tidbit from that weekend. As we have said before, I am on the western side of Pennsylvania, live just about an hour outside of Pittsburgh. And the reason there was no Knights of the Nerd Republic last week was because my family took a little mini vacay into the city for the weekend, and as a part of that, we paid I made pilgrimage to the Phantom Menace Pepsi vending machine, iconic, as you all have probably heard of. It is one of very few that are left out there. So that was a lot of fun.
Did you get any Pepsi from it?
So hold on, let me see how how much clarity I can have when
does it work?
Oh shit, it works. Okay. Oh dear Christ, hold on, let me zoom back out here. It does still work. However, it does not look like it is being currently serviced by Pepsi anymore. So it is like shooting out like generic soda, and it's just outside of a fire department. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Obviously we had a lot of fun over the weekend, told some stories on campus life. So if you're not a patron, consider the $10 tier where you get access to campus life and movie club a week early. And also, there's a campus life episode where we talk about what all I did in Pittsburgh, including a lot of fun with the Vader Immortal Lightsaber Dojo VR game that gave me the willies in a good way. But yeah, for video listeners, picture me with the vending machine. Lots of fun. All right. Other than that, only other quick story we're going to talk about here. Dave Filoni got this promotion months ago.
Yep.
We're only now finding out about it.
Because they just bothered to update the website.
Yeah, so they update the website that he's now a creative director at Lucasfilm, which that is not to take away from the accomplishment. The sincerest of congratulations to Mr. Filoni and his hack. You have worked very hard and have made many a great Star War. This is a deserved promotion.
I think we all knew it was one of those promotions that we all knew was going to happen. It was just a matter of when.
Precisely. When will it happen? So great news for Dave, and we're all very happy for him. That said, I really, really badly want somebody to explain to me whom they think promoted him. If it is not the lovely lady whom they are claiming he is replacing. Also, are you even tangentially aware of the position she held? Hell, holds, because she's not gone. She's not gone yet.
The business side and the creative side are two different aspects of it. Like they have to work. They work in tandem very
like
well.
every other company on the goddamn planet.
Yes. So yeah, I just find it.
Don't tell Travis or Lexi. Okay. But I was watching some Doomcock this week. And it's hard, Connor. It's hard not to watch. Okay. When YouTube sends me notifications for a channel I'm not even subscribed to, I have to watch it. And the unwarranted righteous indignation of somebody who reports the same story every week. Like literally, we are at the point where every week there is a story about Kathleen Kennedy no longer being the head of Lucasfilm. It's literally it's the same goddamn story every week. I don't mean that in hyperbole. I mean like the story is almost verbatim the same thing every week. Like he's doing it weekly now, and it's just some QAnon shit. It is nerd QAnon. I am sorry for everybody. No, I'm not. Who is caught up in this lunacy? Like again, it's misinformation. It's fake news, but it's entertainment fake news. But that doesn't change the fact that it's fake news and that like we're actively lying to people. We are actively sowing division. I will never ever let go of what I've said for a long time, and people have laughed at me and people told me I'm fucking crazy for it. I will never let go of the fact that the fandom menace and people like Doomcock are a part of the online far-right pipeline. They all exist in symbiosis with each other, man. It is all a part of the same web. And whether or not it's intentional, whether or not that anybody is intending for this to lead to that or whatever, I don't care. They all flow like a river into each other, especially when we're using the same media tactics and the same verbiage and all of that stuff. You know, without bodies like the fandom menace, phrases like "get woke, go broke" don't make their way into the mainstream to the point where my 60-some-year-old coworker at the bar is saying it. Right? And I know for a fact Sharon doesn't watch The Quartering. You know, she doesn't give a shit about Magic the Gathering or She-Ra or Captain Marvel. She doesn't give a damn about any of those things. But that verbiage is used so often that it makes its way into the mainstream. Right? It's all a part of this giant convalescence of horseshit and hatred. And I can't take it anymore. It needs to stop. Like, I cannot believe that Dave Filoni gets a promotion and all we can talk about is how it is going to impact Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, I hate it too.
It's just so stupid. And the lack of understanding about how any of this shit works is just so impressive. Like, I have never seen more people who flagrantly don't know what they're talking about speak on a subject so confidently. It is impressive.
It's impressively stupid.
But impressive nonetheless. Anyway, enough of me talking shit on the fandom menace. At some point, hey, Mike Kalinowski retweeted me. Hey, I'm just coming off the heels of number one contender. Here's you want to know something I do that pisses me off, Connor? I will deliberately do an outfit change so that I'm not dressed the same way as I was 2 shows in a row. And then address the fact that I just got done with a different show. Like at this point, I could have just left my corruption shirt on. Now that I addressed the fact that I recorded number one contender like an hour and a half ago. I didn't have to do it, but here we are. And now I'm blending into the wall and I'm also sweating into one of my favorite shirts because you don't have the air conditioner set up yet. And I am running on fumes, baby. Let's go. That's not the baby. That's my baby. So we got 2 episodes of the Bad Batch to discuss. And Connor, I'm going to give you the floor to discuss last week's episode first.
So last week's episode, I think, was probably my favorite so far. And it's kind of obvious why, but also not if you've not been made aware. The thing I really like about Replacements is that it was released on George's birthday, and there's a few dark moments in it, especially with Onderon and Crosshair, which we'll get more into the weeds too, because I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts, Jarod. But it never loses that sort of central focus of hope and light through Omega and through the squad. And it's written by someone that's worked with George before and has sort of seen his philosophy with Star Wars, that being Matt Micknovitz. And just...
Who has also written for...
Respawn, Clone Wars, and Rebels. And he's a story editor on Bad Batch.
And specifically, he wrote what for Respawn?
I'm not saying it. Pretty sure people know this at this point. I lost my train of thought, Jarod. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I have Full House team energy, and it's just a 2-person team today.
Yep.
Like I feel like I'm supposed to have Levi and Mike nearby to like be making fun of them as well. Yeah,
nudge you in the one direction.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, it's fine. And just, it's a really heartfelt episode, I thought. So.
I agree. I think I saw a lot of people talking about how Replacements is simultaneously a very cute, heartfelt, wholesome Star Wars doing wholesome Star Wars type shit episode that also has an act of state violence in it, and some pretty brutal murder. And I was like, yes, this has Dave Filoni written all over it. And yeah, no, I liked it a lot. I really like Crosshair as an antagonist.
Same.
Really growing on me as the show's big bad. I will say up top, and granted, this is in reference to last week, so this is kind of old news, and everybody beat me to the punch talking about this theory, and I'm upset because I watched it on FaceTime with Alexis, and while we were watching it, and I saw Crosshair walk in his new ass outfit, and the first of the Imperial Militia Force in their new outfits, I literally out loud with Alexis as my witness, watching it for the first time, went, "Is this the beginning of the Death Trooper project?" Because it's the black and the green, and it would make sense that like Crosshair being this, he's literally bred to shoot a gun. His superpower is gun.
Like he is a Death Trooper.
He's a Death Trooper, and the idea that like he's the first like Death Trooper commander, I like that idea a lot. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm upset that I kind of missed the bus on being able to talk about the potentiality of Crosshair being the first Death Trooper. And the Death Troopers are probably my new favorite type of trooper across all eras. It's a toss-up between the Death Troopers and the Sith Troopers, for me at least. And yeah, I really like the episode a lot. I like that element of it. I think that the brutality we see from Crosshair, it doesn't. I can't quite put my finger on whether or not Crosshair is bloodthirsty or just programmed to be dedicated. You know, like we don't see a real indication as to whether or not he enjoys doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't see him enjoying putting down these insurgents. We just see that he's really good at it.
Yeah. And I
And
think that's actually a good point, actually. If I had to guess from what I can remember from the episode, it's just that he's sort of programmed to kill. Not really
that's what I'm saying.
kill,
Is that
but like whatever his orders are, he follows it to the letter. And so like this was just he probably felt it was a bit too far because you have that scene where he goes back to the barracks and he sits down and he sort of has someone pointed this out on Twitter. He kind of has the same pose as Callus after the honorable ones in Rebels when Callus starts to like realize maybe I'm not fighting for the right side.
are we the baddies?
And just I love how just that also like even before that moment you have Omega sort of advocating for Crosshair
Omega.
redemption. Yes.
Yeah.
Omega. And just how the squad itself is kind of like this kind of wasn't entirely his fault. It was kind of the chip. So I love how they're kind of like maybe we can get him back.
Again, it'll be interesting, you know, like I said, it's kind of a consensus the last time we were all together on KNR. There might be a chance that we see in Crosshair something akin to the Winter Soldier, something akin to the, you know, who the hell is Bucky? Granted, he has his memories pre, you know, having his brain electrocuted, but regardless, I think that Crosshair, I'm excited to see where his arc goes. Both for the lore, just for the establishing the coming empire, as well as just as a character. I'm very fascinated by what's going on there. I think it's also interesting that a lot of people are talking more about the Crosshair B plot, more than the Bad Batch being stranded A plot. Which again, I saw this on Twitter and I retweeted it and I agree with it. And this is no shade. I don't mean any shade, but Dave Filoni can't help but just tell the same goddamn story. And
I know which tweet you're referring to.
Like
it's the same formula.
And I will say, like people wrote The Mandalorian into that. And that's more Favreau than it is Filoni, but there's still a lot of Filoni in it. And the fact that like every Star Wars TV show has been like begrudging dad becomes dad to kid who's a pain in the dick, but is precious and we all love them and they can probably all use the Force. We're waiting for that domino to drop on Omega. And I don't know. Like the fact that we were in the first season, everybody gets stranded, which is another thing Filoni does in every first season. Everybody's stranded, right? Anakin gets blown to hell in season 1. They're stranded with the lemurs. Ezra and Kanan get stranded inside of the Lothal Jedi Temple. You know, Mando and Grogu get stranded trying to deal with the Jawas when he's trying to leave and the Razor Crest gets boosted by the Jawas. You know, like everybody gets stranded in every show. Like, I bet you good money they end up stranded on a planet in Ahsoka. When Ahsoka Tano's show comes out, there's going to be a scene where they all get stranded. It's going to happen in the Rebels sequel. It's going to happen in everything Filoni touches. There's going to be a kid and they get stranded. That's how it works. Again, no shame to Dave. He's given us a lot of great stories, and he does switch it up eventually. But he can't help but start every story the same exact way, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's it's very, for lack of a better term, formulaic. But like as you said, he switches it up, and like obviously there's noticeable differences between all of those stories, which I think Filoni knows. and is able to and we're able to distinguish all 4 of those shows apart.
Exactly. Like they're very clearly different things. It's just there's a few too many very specific qualities to these stories that have become really noticeably reoccurring.
Yeah, I agree.
That's neither here nor there.
And it's kind of why it's just kind of why some of the other stories have just resonated with me more, I think, like such as in the comics and books and games, because they're different creators.
Yeah.
So they have different ways of telling the story. So,
bro, I think it might be the heat getting to me. I think that's why I'm so today.
I got it, dude. I got it.
It's probably the heat. I have Jello for a brain right now. I will say, people have been pointing out the Easter egg that I think is interesting with the whole war mantle thing.
Yes.
That is mentioned by Tarkin and yet again brought up in Rogue One down the line. I think it's just the Death Trooper project. That's War Mantle.
What I've heard is that like it's either the Death Trooper project or it's like the conscription project, where like the Empire starts to conscript like just civilians into service and just phase out the clone troopers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think I think War Mantle might just be their attempt to like get rid of the clones. I am pulling for it to be a Death Trooper thing, but again, that's because I like the Death Troopers a whole lot. But yeah, I think that's all we have for last week's episode.
I think so. I'm just going through my notes. The Kaminoans, just like their whole shtick of being apprehensive about the Empire trying to phase out their entire purpose. And like honestly, I know I'm not the first one to say this. I know I've said it on air. I feel like we're building up to Clone versus Empire battle on Kamino, akin to the 2005 Battlefront 2 story.
We were talking about that last week, and that's another one that like this is zero shade at anybody. Okay. I mean, this is zero shade to anyone. Because, and I will say, I don't think it was an idea that was stolen from us. I want to say that up top. But I think we were the first to say it. I think we were the first to like call that shot. I really do. I really, really do. Because I didn't see anybody talking about is there going to be a clone trooper insurgency? You know, are the Kaminoans going to try to like re-coup the coup with the clones? Like, I didn't see anybody talking about that until a week after we had talked about it with Nick.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not saying that anybody took that idea off of us. They didn't. I'm just saying we said it first. And we are number one.
Interesting.
Then again, I could very well be wrong.
Yeah. We don't know the logistics of it.
Yeah. And again, I'm not taking credit for it. I'm just saying, like, I'm glad we were kind of ahead of the curve on that specific theory.
Yes.
Because that's one I really hope comes to pass.
Same, dude. It makes so much sense. And like, we know by the end of 19 BBY, at least the end, I guess, the cloning facilities are shut down. What better way to show that than an Imperial versus clone battle, and the Empire takes it over and shuts them all down? Like, it's so logical to me for the writers and the team of Bad Batch to do that. And just, again, Star Wars and its subtlety. I feel like they're not being, I feel like they're kind of being subtle about it, but like, you can pretty much tell this is probably where it's going to go.
Well, Star Wars is about redemption, and I think it'd be interesting for the clones in their own way to get a redemption. Like that's like the huge part of the clones story is the tragedy of them and their heel turn. And I think it would be interesting if after however many years of fans just generally liking the clones until the moment the order is given and then it's fuck them all, right? I think it's interesting to, how do I put it, to have a like moment where the clones renege on the Empire and give them their free will back and make them want to make right what they did. And I also think it would be interesting if something like Kamino's taken off the board.
Yeah.
It makes Palpatine having to hide his whole resurrection plan a little bit more logical. If they, again, and this is what I said when we talked about the first two episodes, if the Empire's end game at this point, if there's a clone insurgency, is to just carpet bomb Topeka City, right? If they just go, we're just going to wipe this shit off the map. And this is pre-Death Star, so they can't just park the Death Star and just blow Kamino to hell.
Yeah, that's in development.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Death Star's in development, and as far as we know, the only planets that the Death Star is truly used on are Jeddah and Alderaan. So like you can't, it would be really, really hard to squeeze in like between Jeddah, Alderaan, and then the Battle of Yavin, squeeze in the Death Star blowing up Kamino. Because it would have to happen after Alderaan.
Yeah, because that timeline is just so tight as is.
So, I don't think Kamino as a planet gets blown to hell, but Topeka City and the cloning, the hub of cloning on Kamino could be decimated by the Empire. And I think that would be an interesting move. And then again, it creates a situation where if Omega is force sensitive, which I do hope she is, it creates a situation where Palpatine was like, okay, I need to clone myself. Cloning force sensitives is difficult. And they had all kinds of unfinished research. And now I have to use the broken pieces of their puzzle. Like I need to reassemble a puzzle I broke and also lit on fire.
Yeah, because someone also pointed out one of the project code names that's mentioned in Rogue One is Mark Omega.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Omega could have any connection to that.
Yeah, and again, I truly don't want there to be a direct connection between Palpatine and his survival, put that in air quotes, and Omega. Like I want it to be that Palpatine went, oh, they made a force sensitive clone. That might be useful. And that like Palpatine was unaware of it. I want Palpatine to I want the Kaminoans to have independently done what they've done with Omega and then Palpatine to go back to it.
Yeah.
I am not necessarily trying to have it be a one-to-one thing.
Fair, yep. That makes sense. And just, I think last point I have with the episode is just when the one squad member says, we signed up to be soldiers, not an execution squad. And then Crosshair just whacks him right there. Yep. And then that moment, just like, I think the thing that really does that moment for me is that it's not violent for the sake of being violent. It has weight to it. It shows to Crosshair that like, maybe this isn't what I want to do. Or like, and it just shows that like, I don't know, there's a lot to it, that moment. And like, I think some people, I'll just say that, haven't picked up on. And they just view it for its surface level, what it brings to the surface. So just, I like it. I'm obviously not a violence should be in Star Wars R-rated Star Wars type guy, but like when it's like that, it's good. When the violence is used in that way as in the story, it's good. So
I agree. And it does have its place in the story as long as it's not a, again, like there is, I don't think there's any uniform good way to implement violence in a narrative. There's not a uniform good way, but there are hacky and unimpressive methods of it. And this is done in great effect. Moving on to this week's episode. What was it called?
Cornered.
It is Return of the Shand.
That's what pretty much it should be called.
Yes. Cue the Mark Morrison Return of the Mac. I love this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. Even in animation, Ming-Na Wen is phenomenal as Fennec Shand. Continues to be one of my new favorite bounty hunters. Echo heeded the advice of rapper and singer Drake when he said, "Know yourself, know your worth."
And he did that indeed.
And he did that, didn't he? He really did. He really.
That was great.
That was funny as shit. I love his droid disguise.
Yeah. He's like, I'm
Echo
worth more than 2,000.
Yeah. I love the droid disguise. I love that he looks at him and goes, "You got me for a bargain." There was something about that whole moment that felt very Travis.
Now that you mention it, I see it. Yeah.
There's just something about like, I'm worth more than that. You got me for a bargain. There's very, very fun moments there. What was the name of the little droid again? Clink.
Yep.
Clink. Hi. Lucasfilm. Give me Clink. Everything. I want the pop. I want the plushie. I want the t-shirt. I want the hat. I want the ass tattoo. Give me Clink now.
Ditto.
Like
I
this moment.
Him. Yeah, I freaking
little
love him.
arms. Yeah, little arms and little legs. I almost got a little Bill Cosby. Little arms and the legs and the pops.
He's so adorable. He's so adorable.
Yeah, he's precious. I love him.
Oh my god. I just also love how how the Bad Batch is trying to adapt to civilian life. And B, this is what stood out to me the most. I mean, this moment was one of the standout moments, and it didn't even do anything, which is how civilians positively reacted to the Empire and the war beyond.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I was like, this is weird.
They have no reason not to, though. In the grand scheme of things, like, what's the difference? It's the same body of government. It's the same ruler.
Exactly.
And, there's people who, like, if anything, it's an improvement. It's like the soldiers in the last episode, they were fed, they were housed by the Empire. And
for the civilians, no different. Yep.
It's no different to most of the civilians, like, granted, when the Empire's more oppressive policies come into play, things are going to change, and they're going to change for the worse for a lot of people, namely non-humans. And that's just an unfortunate reality of how the Empire is. And, that'll help out with why the rebellion needs to take root. But yeah, no, I love this episode. Okay. I don't support the use of child leashes. But I think it may not be a bad idea for Hunter to invest in a space child leash. because we are a Wendy's 4 for 4 of this kid
Just
getting
running
into
away.
some nonsense because she is not within an arm's reach.
Yep.
Now, I will give her credit. She came in clutch in episode 3. She did her thing. She hung out with the dragon. She threw the flashlight, took the battery back.
That
She
was
came in
so
clutch.
cool.
It was cool. It was cute.
Great
it was
thinking on
awesome.
her part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the room. Didn't talk about the room.
Oh, we talked about the room. Ricka built me a bedroom.
Entire room.
You're right. That was
so
adorable. It got me in my feelings, and he gave her the little Lula to hold on to.
I need a Lula.
Yes.
Like, now.
Yes, I agree. Disney, get on it.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to I can't believe I almost just said, yeah, child leash. Going back to the Omega just sort of wandering off as she does. Yeah, I agree. Like, he needs some sort of restraint on her so then this doesn't happen.
They need a child leash. I don't like them. I hate them. When my family was out in Pittsburgh, I saw a kid on a leash and I rolled my eyes.
Because
it's weird. It makes me feel uncozy. But I'm sorry, Omega. Stop. Just put the kid on a leash. I don't want to say it. But I will put the kid on a leash. You got to do what you got to do. It's unfair. I don't advocate in the real world for child leashes. But maybe Omega needs a kid leash or something. That's the most humane alternative. That's the most humane thing I can think of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
short of just setting that shit to stun, right? When she gets a little too far, just which you don't want to make a habit of shooting your child.
No.
Right? You don't want to make a habit of that. But also, she might get kidnapped by a bounty hunter and taken back to Camino. So, Omega needs to start listening. She's adorable. She's precious. I love her. Kid, knock it the hell off.
Yep. And just Hunter's trying to learn how to be a father.
Listen.
Again. No, go ahead.
No, he can be an amazing father. It's hard when your kid's a dick.
No, it's hard for that. It's hard in that case, and it's also hard when she's been sheltered her whole life and just wants to explore everything. Like when they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go to Pantora," she's like, "I want to. Why can't we explore?" And it's like, well, 4 for 4. This is what you do. This is what happens when you explore.
But that's exactly the issue, she did this on Camino. This isn't a she's out in the world, she wants to explore type thing. She met the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch leaves for a day, and she's like, "Hey, little floaty droid, we're gonna go break into the bedrooms, and kids, stop it! You're gonna get yourself shot!"
Yeah.
These aren't clone troopers anymore. These are cold-blooded killers. They will shoot you between your eyes, homegirl.
Yeah.
That's assuming it's not Fennec Shan trying to scoop you up and take you back to Long Neck. Man, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Hunter, get a leash. Get a leash, Hunter. I don't want you to, but I don't want her to get hurt either.
That's gonna be the
same with it. This little idiot right here.
For those listening, Jarod is currently
this little idiot stayed in his pod. He stayed in his pod and he didn't get into trouble. Didn't went boop in the pod, and he didn't do shit for the most part because he couldn't act up when he was in the pod. I don't know, maybe get Omega a big girl pod.
Yeah, Camino probably builds them. Just get one from Camino.
Get her one of those things that Yoda floats around on in Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
Get her one of those.
Yes.
Get her one of those.
Yeah.
Give her a data pad and let the kid just stay put before she gets shot at again. Jesus.
Oh, this is wonderful. Oh my goodness.
Maybe Elise isn't the right call, but give
No,
her a
Alicia's
pod.
not the right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely a Yoda pod.
I'm glad we were in agreement on that.
She's lovely, but like, man, she does not sit still. And like most of us were like that as kids.
Yeah. And that's fine. I get it. It's normal for a kid to not want to sit still and want to go off and adventure and do all that shit. But they're all wanted criminals, and Camino treats her as property. And as their property, they want it back. Now's not the time to go running off, sweetheart. Stay put. Stop it.
Especially when it's Fennec Shan that wants to capture.
If she's acting up in episode 5, I'm gonna I'm gonna get pissed. I'm gonna be pissed. If we're like a week from now, the plot line again is Omega couldn't sit still and just ran off into blaster fire for the shits of it. Like, I'm loving the show, and I don't want to nitpick and I don't want to shit on it, but like every episode has been, and then Omega does some dumb shit. Which again, she's a child. I get it. But the Bad Batch has to deal with Thing X, and then Omega does some dumb shit.
And then they have to deal with that for the episode.
And then they have to deal with the dumb shit and then run like hell. Did the Bad Batch even get any supplies on Pandora? I know they got 2,000 credits for selling Echo to Bobby Moynihan.
I thought it was 3,000. I think
3,000.
Yeah, 3,000.
Right.
They scrambled their ship signature. They might have, I think they got supplies. I can't remember, actually. Time to Google. Yes, for those listening, as you know, we're Star Wars fans, and we have to Google the episode.
Hey, we're people too.
Yeah, we're human.
No, either way, like I just like they were. I like this show, and you know what? Maybe if every episode is the Bad Batch does a thing and then Omega does some dumb shit, like if that is the premise for every single episode, I will be okay with it because it's hilarious. But there was a part of me that like the big brother in me, namely like the big brother who's like old enough to be an actual authority figure to his little sister. Cause I'm 23, she's 9.
Yeah.
Right? That like part of my brain reacts to Omega like it's my sister. And it's that like, kid, I love you. Stop it. You're going to get yourself hurt. Like I'm having the same reaction because like every dad in this space talked about how Din and Grogu got them right here. Right? Because it was like a father and a kid. And I see Omega and just a part of me sees my little sister instinctively. And I did that a little bit with Din and Grogu. Like there was a part of me that was like, I'm going to hold you and I'm going to protect you. I love you so much. But then part of me is like with Omega, it's just that like, I'm just so inquisitive and smart and here. And what's that over there? Oh, I hear blaster fire. I don't care. Hey, Ricka, come look, like I love the kid, but she stresses me out. Like there's just so much stress inside of this small, adorable child. But yeah, that's all we got for this episode because there wasn't really a B plot. There was just everybody on Pandora. There was no cutting back to Crosshair or anything, which surprised me. Yes. I really do hope Fennec Shan looms over the rest of the series or season, however long this show is going to be in the long run. I really hope that she's just kind of a presence that lingers over the Bad Batch. But other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah, I want it to be next Friday. I kind of
Same.
hate how we have to wait a week. If Star Wars started to drop episodes twice a week of every new show, I would not be opposed to that.
Listen,
whatsoever.
you're just spoiled because we're still coming off of the premiere week. You'll get back used to one a week again. I, however, will be having 2 a week very soon because I'll be having Loki on Wednesdays.
That is very true.
Yes, and very, very excited for how the workload changes. Ha! Anyway, woo! But we have something planned for you guys soon, though. Don't you worry. That might also help us in the long run. Any hoozles, I think that is all we have for you guys this week. Connor, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
They can find me on Twitter at DepaBanana, on Instagram at ConmanJFO, and on Facebook at the Alliance of Star Wars Fanatics. If you're unaware at this point, we're a Star Wars Facebook group that just chats.
If you're unaware and this is your first episode,
I was about, yep, that was implied.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're new here, this is the first time you've watched the Star Wars show, and you got me while I am very solidly potato brained at the moment. My apologies.
It's completely fine. We
out here suffering from heat strokes today. Here suffering from heat strokes.
It's not a fun time here in PA. Tal Swift is a Facebook group where we just chat about Star Wars and we keep it civil and positive because the fandom is a mess. So if you want, generally speaking, at least, if you want a group where you can just talk about Star Wars without being berated for your different opinion on a movie in the franchise, come join us.
Absolutely. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com. Where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Case and Breon, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, and Zach Canals. You guys help us make the content that we love to produce. Be sure to check out the $5 tier where you get access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. Spencer and I are going to be recording that sometime soon. We are going to be doing Galen Merrick versus Mara Jade. You get Heroic History 101. Travis and I are going to be doing Batman 3 Jokers very soon. And the Nerd Academy Movie Club audio commentaries, which ties into Knights of the Nerd Republic because it's Star Wars month. And our review of A New Hope is out now on the main feed. And the audio commentary, again, is behind a $5 paywall. It is $5. It is 5 smackaroos for you to get to hear Devin Armel see Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru's charred corpses for the first time. And let me tell you, that alone is worth the price of admission. You can also check out the Nerd Academy Student Store on our website, which will take you to our TeePublic, where you can get all manner of Nerd Academy merch and goodies. But with that, thank you all so very much for listening. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things, and may the Force be with you always.
Stop! Move away!